this just like America here. I mean, we influence in every which way by what goes on in the United States. Our proximity, the way how we dress, some of our mannerism, the way how the music we listen to, is being infiltrated into the Bahamian culture, the American culture, the American way of life, so to speak.
I wonder why. I thought it would be more English.
No. Everybody who live behind these white walls, they work inside the U.S. Embassy downtown. This is where the U.S. government provide housing for their local staff who work at the embassy. Yeah, we are more influenced by what goes on in America because of our proximity. Yeah. We are extremely close in proximity, so what goes on in America affects us directly. Take, for instance, all of our tourists that comes here. Economically speaking, 80% of our tourists that comes here at any given time of the year are Americans. We welcome more cruise ship arrivals. The majority of our cruise ships come here. We get 60% of our tourists that travels to this country comes by way of the cruise ships. And the other ones, we classify them as stopover visitors. People who come here and go to the hotels and stay for a couple of days. We classify those as stopover visitors. But the cruise visitors are greater in numbers. We welcome at least about, well, we welcome in 5 million tourists a year now. Wow. And 60% of that figure comes here by way of the cruise ship. Okay? I think this is full now. I just see
Do they just take over the town when they get off the boat?
Yeah, well, they usually come and they go into downtown Nassau.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah. Oh, yeah, so most of them, they will be like in downtown Nassau. Oh, yes.
And then, didn't I hear you say on one of your tours that the, what is it, the Odyssey comes in on Fridays?
The Oasis.
Oasis, that's what it's called.
The Oasis of the Seas, yes. It's one of the largest ships afloat. And Oasis, I think it has about 5,000 passengers with an additional 1,500 crew. I think that's how that goes.
That's an assault on Nassau.
That's right, that's right. We also have one of our public beach areas here to my right. This is known as Sanders Beach. Now in the Bahamas, you know, we have 3 different standards of living. We have the rich, the middle class, and the poor. A lot of the homes that are on the beachfront, a lot of the people, they work in money-making professions like doctors and lawyers, bank managers, politicians, accountants. People with money all own homes on the beachfront. They are owned by a combination of Bahamians and foreigners. Okay? Oh, yes.
And they all get wiped out every hurricane?
Well, sometimes, you know, these individuals, they have to evacuate their homes, you know, because sea surges can be so powerful, you know. Yeah, so a lot of these residents do evacuate, you know. Oh, yeah.
Has a good majority of the whole island ever been evacuated?
Affected?
Evacuated?
No. Our homes are built like bunkers. Yeah. They are built to withstand like 160 miles an hour wind. Oh. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have basements in our homes.
Yeah,
so most people just batten down their homes when there's a hurricane. And they just sit tight, you know, pretty much. But the homes are built to withstand gale force winds at about 160 miles an hour. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of heavy concrete.
Yes, a lot of concrete. Mixed hurricane rafters in the roof. From the foundation up, those baked steel from the foundation. Steel in the walls. So they are built to withstand, you know, really, really aggressive winds, you know. Oh, yes. Now we're coming into the western part of the island. Oh, yes. It's a very nice place to live. My home is in the southern part of the island. I live in a very small house, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I pay like my mortgage, I pay like a 20-year mortgage, and I pay like 9% interest rate. I just went to the bank the other day, and I said, wow, this is not moving anywhere.
Yeah.
So I start making principal payments. Oh yes. Oh
So
yes.
you pay 9% interest?
9% interest rate. All the
Can
banks.
you get lower? You can't get lower?
No. See, that's one of the things with your country. See, your country, you get what, 3 and 4%?
Yeah.
We pay 9% here.
That's no good.
But that's right. We have to blame the government for that. Oh yes. Now we also have
Speaking
the office.
of which.
That's right. Speaking of which, we also have the office of the Prime Minister. The name of the current Prime Minister, his name is the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie. Mr. Christie was returned as Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas on the 7th of May 2012. Directly on the sign that says Successor Wallace Whitfield is the national symbol of the Bahamas. The national symbol consists of our national bird, which is the pink flamingo, national fish, which is the blue marlin, the ship that Christopher Columbus discovered the Bahamas on, which is the Santa Maria, the national motto of the country, and even on top of the national symbol is the crown that really recognizes our past. We were once a colony of England, and but really, if you look at the national symbol, you would see the history of the country. You would see that Christopher Columbus discovered the Bahamas in 1492, and then we evolved into a colonial country, because on top of the symbol there is the crown that represents the crown of England, and then you have how the country has evolved into one of the most peaceful and stable democracies in the region. The national motto of the country is forward, upward, onward, together. That was to predict the direction that the country wanted to take following independence from the British, July the 10th, 1973. So all of those are part of the national symbol, and really explain the history of the country. Now you would find that national symbol on every official government document in the country, including my passport, driver's license, and every official government document in the country. In the Bahamas, we're not a very powerful country. I mean, there's many ways that you could be powerful, I guess. But military-wise, we're not a very powerful country. We have a defense force that consists of about 3,500 men and women that are charged with defending the territory of the country. All right? And in most cases, they work jointly with the United States officials, Marine officials, and so forth. All right? And they are also there to assist the government wherever needed. All right? So we have a defense force. The government just invested $210 million in the purchasing of new defense force craft to defend the territory of the country. And so we've been we had a lot of poachers that come in from Dominican Republic, and that they fish illegally in the Bahamas, and the government is now trying to beef up the policing of the waters, you see, pretty much.
What are they fishing for? What are they poaching?
They poach like for lobsters and goopers and stuff, and the government has, they would have implemented what you call like no fishing zones or a moratorium on the Nassau grouper, but yet still, when these moratorium in place, the Dominicans come in and they still take all the fish. You see what I'm saying? So the government is now trying to protect the fisheries industry from poachers. Yes.
Right.
Oh yeah. And now we also have another one of our public beach. A lot of people are out and about on the beaches and stuff. You know, we're coming into the Cable Beach area. We have to my right, we have the Bahamas Development Bank. This bank came on stream in 1973 as an entrepreneurial program to assist Bahamians with government guaranteed loans. Those persons who want to start their own business, they can approach the bank with a business plan. Once that plan is approved, they will get funding for the launch of their business. We also have the Bahama Riviera, scheduled to open December of this year. Currently under construction. This hotel is the brainchild of Mr. Sakas Asmilian, who is a European. He lives here in the Bahamas, but he is from Europe. And he was trying to get this project going from in the 1990s, thereabout.
Wow.
He had quite a number of American investors who were on board and already broken ground, and almost, I could say, already started construction. But as a result of what happened in 2008 with the economic downturn in the economy, a lot of the American investors, they backed off. You had the casino giant of New York. You ever heard of Harrah's Casino?
Yeah.
That's the big casino giant of America. He was a part of this project, and quite a number of American investors. But all of them back out as a result of the economic downturn in 2008. And then I guess him and the government, him in conjunction with the government, they approached the Chinese. And the Chinese had agreed to fund the project. Whereas Mr. Ersmillion put up $900 million out of his own money, and he borrowed $2.5 billion of the Exim Bank of China for the implementation of this resort. It's
The
going
Chinese are buying a lot of property in
The Chinese are, yeah, that's right.
the United States, especially California.
That's why when I go home, I go straight to my computer and I learn Mandarin.
Oh, good idea.
Oh yes.
They all are awesome.
That's right.
Oh yes. So yeah, I realize, that these people are, I don't know, but in the Bahamas, I watch how the Chinese operate. They will go into the lowest ghetto and set up shop and make the most money. And I always try to figure out why they do that. But they rake up all the money. You see what I'm saying? So, like I say, I guess they are entrepreneurial people.
They do. Well, all the foreclosures in the United States, they buy the foreclosures.
Oh.
Especially Detroit. Well, Southern California, but in Detroit, the whole city's going under, and they're buying everything.
Yes.
They're gonna own Detroit.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's car manufacturing area. Maybe they're open some plants. I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know what they plan to do.
Yeah. Very interesting. Oh, yes. All right, so this area got the name Cable Beach because in 1891, the first underground telecommunication cable was established in this area. Those cables run directly from Cable Beach to Jupiter, Florida, providing us with telecommunication services. Oh, yes. Now, all of these other existing resorts that are currently on the beach here to my right, all of them are going to be a part of this mega resort currently under construction. This hotel is going to consist of 5 other hotels.
And these are already pre-existing.
Yes.
Yeah, because these two on the end look a lot older.
Yes, they're going to be, when this one is finished and open, they're going to close these and renovate these here. So these are going to be renovated very soon, and then they're going to be combined together, creating one big major resort.
I bet Atlantis doesn't like that.
Oh no, Atlantis does not like. Atlantis is crying. Oh, they don't like this idea. But it raises competition.
That's true.
Raises competition.
That means better prices and more people.
The consumer wins with competition, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, we also have to my right these pine trees. These are pine trees that were imported from Europe, but in the Bahamas we call them casuarina trees. Now, I wanted to show you the home of our current Prime Minister. This is where he lives here to my left. This is the Prime Minister's home. It's not like the White House where you have the president that lives in the White House. Our prime ministers live in their own homes at this time. Although there's talks about building a prime minister's residence. Believe it or not, this is the mother-in-law house of the prime minister, right on the side of it.
Right next door.
Hey, we have
It's
two
called
types.
checks and balances, right?
That's right. That is so true. Now, we have 2 types of coconut trees. We have the green coconut tree and the gold coconut tree.
Yeah.
The green coconut tree produce a harder texture of the coconut, where we make coconut tarts and coconut cakes from. The gold coconut tree produces the jelly coconut, which is a softer texture of the coconut, but both of them are very sweet. Oh yes. We also have Blue Water Resort here to my right.
And Dairy Queen approaching on the left.
That is so true. You have a good sense of direction. Oh yes.
thought it was quite interesting that that all those little shops there had security.
Oh, you mean like over here to my left?
Yeah, when we went to Dairy Queen and
yes, they do.
Why?
The reason for that is because
it's obviously
things
needed.
happen.
It's obviously needed.
It is needed. You need to secure your premises and your business, and yeah, it's needed. It's definitely needed.
I wasn't expected though.
No, I know, but in recent times we have been dramatized with a wave of a crime wave where you have a bad economy, you have people who are unemployed, businesses going under, you have economic downturns, you have people being laid off, and as a result of that, you see crime trends goes up.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So therefore, a lot of prudent business persons will hire the necessary security to protect their property and their business.
Right.
I expect to see that at a bank.
At a bank, yeah.
Dairy Queen.
That's right. Oh yes. And we also have the Sandals Royal Bahamian here to my left. All of these hotels are owned by foreigners, really. We have very few Bahamians that really own these hotels here. You understand what I'm saying? All these big hotels are owned by foreigners. The smaller boutique hotels throughout the country are owned by Bahamians.
So when Queen Victoria put an end to slavery, did all those former slaves get land, property?
No. That's a very interesting question. No, I wouldn't go as far as saying, because even in America, you had people, white people really, that they had their slaves, and when they died, they left everything to their slaves. That happened.
Right.
That happened. But it's so interesting that the apprenticeship program was a 4-year program that was initiated in 1834 that lasted for 4 years. That what Philip was trying to explain earlier was that the fact that 4-year time frame was to teach the slaves how to be independent and how to go in there and get a sense of working and the trade and stuff like that. But in terms of property and stuff like that, no, not in the Bahamas. But I've heard that in America there was some type of amendment that
Sounds like reparations or something.
I heard it. I don't know if that has ever happened, but I heard about it. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But in the Bahamas, no. In the British Empire, no.
Now, Vern at work, he was, his last name, Hodge, was the name of the slave owner of his ancestors. And he, like 5 years ago, received property along with his siblings and the rest of his family down in the Virgin Islands.
He did?
He did, yeah.
Because of the bare fact of his name and his ancestors.
His heritage, yeah.
His heritage, okay.
Yeah, because
well, that is very interesting.
But I'm sure that's extremely unusual that somebody
would benefit
in this century,
era,
would benefit.
It is. But I'll say this though. This is what I'll say. If you check the names of the Bahamians in the phone book, you will see that the titles are all the names of former slave masters. If you check, if you do a search on my name, which is Messam, you would see that this is not an African name, but you would see that this name probably originated in somewhere around Welsh or Wales. You see what I'm saying? But to really find out the real ancestry or my real root where we came from, I don't think we'll be ever able to do that.
Right.
You see, because thousands of years has passed on, I guess. Well, if not thousands, hundreds.
Definitely.
And but if you check in the phone book, you will see common names like Williams, Menabes, Smiths, Thompsons, Fergusons, and these would have been names of former slave masters.
Right.
But they are not. They won't be African names.
Definitely.
No,
Do they know what African country?
My belief is in West Africa. A lot of the Bahamian slaves or the Bahamian ancestors from many years ago, I believe they would have come from West Africa, like places like the Ivory Coast and western part of Africa. Oh yes. Oh yes. Okay, but you know the transition from slavery and all of that, it was a peaceful one. We even though slavery was abolished now, Mike, the country still lived segregated for quite a number of years.
Oh yeah, just like ours.
Just like America, you had segregation. You had. I don't think it was bad as America though.
I agree.
I don't think it was bad as America.
Right.
But in terms of in here in the Bahamas, we were run by an oligarchy for quite a number of years. An oligarchy is a group of white families that govern the affairs of the country for quite a number of years, and that lasted for about 100 years, I would say. Okay, and you know, over the years,
I'm sorry.
we
Look
had
at that turnaround. Those are all conch shells, guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look at that. See the debris? I mean,
That's
it's not
right.
debris. Those are all conch shells.
Conch shells. That's right. They break them up, but when they first put them there, it was so pretty. It's the prettiest thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Now they're kind of.
Yeah, they
bleached.
kind of like weather and you know.
Wow.
Oh yes. And we have all the Andes flowers, tropical flowers and plants. I wish I knew the names of all of them, but I don't. I only know a few. This one here to my right, with these colors, we call those oleanders.
Yeah.
You all should have those in California. Eh?
We do, yeah. They plant those along the freeways.
Oh, okay. Now I know in your email you did mention something about Cable Beach, but is that still on the list?
For today, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You wanted to go on the beach then?
Yeah. Drop us off on the beach sometime before 5:30.
Okay.
We'll be fine.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, and what I was saying earlier is that a lot of the slaves, you know, these transition from slavery. No, we didn't get property. We didn't get land. In fact, if you read up on what happened during the abolition of slavery, you had people who did not want it to accept the fact that the government has signed the agreement and they have to let their slaves go, because people, they benefited off having slaves. Some people had 4, 5, 6 slaves, and maybe even more, 10 slaves, and people benefited off that. And you had a lot of people who were very disappointed in the government for signing such an agreement to abolish slavery. So what the government had to do, to be honest with you, this road is still closed. Oh well, this was closed for a week now. I usually go that way. Yeah, what the government had to do, and I read this, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I never knew it, but in recent times I knew that is what happened. The government had to compensate the people who had slaves. Yeah, the government had to compensate them. The British government had to go around and compensate people who had slaves, just to let the slaves go.
Just like an investment.
Yes, because the people them felt like, you know what, we are losing now. You see what I'm saying? So the government had to compensate them. You understand what I'm saying? For them to let their slaves go. You see what I'm saying? So that's exactly what happened.
But that probably was a more peaceful way of doing it.
It was, because you had a lot of people who had a vesting interest in having slaves at that time.
Put up a big fight.
That's right. So to bring peace with everybody, that's what the government did. You know. But yes. But even though slavery was abolished, we still live quite a number of years segregated. A lot of people in the country, a lot of the white Bahamians would have think that they were more inferior to the black or the other African races in the country at the time. You see what I'm saying? And this permeated the society during those years. You had segregation, you had segregated churches, you had segregated schools, and these are the things that happen in the country.
But unlike the U.S., wasn't the percentage of let me word this a different way. Weren't the whites in the minority?
The whites is still in the minority today.
Yeah.
It is still in the minority, but the whites were protected by the British. See, the British is the one that kept the status quo in place.
So it was only like the tip of the iceberg then.
You mean the abolition of slavery?
Having the British backing the.
Let me just change my words. I wouldn't say backing. I probably might be a little bit because I don't think the British would back anything. I think that's what the order of the day was in the country. Let me give you a couple illustrations. I'll take a left right here. You see, in this country, in order for you to vote in this country one time ago, you had to have land. Okay?
Oh.
If you didn't have land, you couldn't vote. On election day, during general elections many years ago, this is just prior to the 1960s. If you had 20 pieces of property, you could go around the country on election day and vote 20 times. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Women just gained the right to vote in the Bahamas for the first time in 1962. Women never voted.
Wow.
So that system kept a certain class of people in the affairs of the governing of the country. You understand what I'm saying? And they consist of the merchant class people who owned a lot of the businesses and stuff, who owned all the land. They were able to keep power in the country for quite a number of years. That's why this year was the first year we celebrated Majority Rule Day. That was ushered in January 10th, 1967, because that meant that in January 10th, 1967 was the first time we had free and fair elections where you had the majority of people voting as opposed to minority people voting and controlling the affairs of the country.
Interesting.
So 1967, January 10th, we ushered in a new political era in the country where we celebrated majority rule this year.
Right.
Oh yes. Now I just wanted to show you the home right here to my left. This is the home of our former Prime Minister. His name is the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram. Mr. Ingram became Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas when he led the Free National Movement to its very first victory at the polls on August 19, 1992. He won a second term in 1997, which means that he served 2 consecutive terms in office as Prime Minister.
That's 10 years.
That's 10 years.
Yeah.
The life of a government is 5 years. He was defeated in 2002. He held on to the leadership of the party, the Free National Movement, and was returned as Prime Minister between 2007 and 2012.
Oh,
so you see, there's no term limits on the tenure of a Prime Minister. One can become Prime Minister for a 3rd, 4th, 5th, maybe even a 6th term in office. We had a Prime Minister for 25 years one time.
wow.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't really see what's so wrong with that.
Pardon me?
Everyone nowadays is like, term limits are great, but it's like you remove the history when I don't think there's anything wrong.
Seems like somebody gets into office and just as soon as, if they're going to do good, as soon as they start to be able to do some good, they're gone.
They're gone, that's right.
know.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Like we have
But,
council members who've been on.
I can tell you from what I see from my vantage point, in this country, when you have too much power, and you have too much power for a long time, it corrupts you.
Well, yeah. That's true anyway.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You understand? And people just get corrupt when they be in office too long.
Yeah.
It depends on the person, though.
Well, that's true. Well, you show me, I have seen some of the greatest men in politics. And after a while, they run afoul. You understand what I'm saying?
They run
came
aground.
That's right. They came into politics with good aspirations. But after a while, they give in to the temptations of,
Yeah.
oh yes. Oh yes. This area is called the Grove area. This is a mixture of rich and middle class. Some of the homes in this area value over $600,000, and some of them value less than $300,000. And that's why I say it's a mixture of rich and middle class.
Right.
Oh yes.
Now, is there like local city governments that set out
No. Well, what we have, well, let me
general
explain.
plans and things?
I know what you mean. I know what you
Okay.
mean. In 1996, there was a bill that was introduced to both of our houses of parliament and passed, calling what is known as the Local Government Act, that facilitated the establishments of local town committees and local community members to come together to serve as local government throughout the different islands of the Bahamas. So yes, to answer your question, we do have local governments in the different islands, but not so much in the central area here,
Gotcha.
which is primarily run by the central government at all times. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But all the local governments that exist in the outer islands, really, they are just really rubber stamp, because they don't have the power of raising taxes. They don't have the power of collecting taxes. You understand? All they do is foresee that the government policies in different areas are carried out, and to govern their own local affairs. To assist the government in determining where a library should go, or where public schools should go. And I mean, I wouldn't say they don't have any power, but they still have to get funding from Nassau for everything. So once you have to get funding, then you understand what I'm saying?
Right. Now, if somebody's arrested on an outer island and they have to go to trial, do they always come here to Nassau?
Providing their own community doesn't have a local court.
Okay.
There are some communities within the country that has courts. There's Abaco have a court, Freeport have a court, maybe Eleuthera. But in most cases, a lot of people would come here. I've seen a lot of people come here for trial from different islands in the country.
Just depends on the population of each island.
That's right. The good thing is, though, I must say, 90% of the crimes that happen in the country happens between here and Grand Bahama, the two major islands. So in other words, the family islands are crime-free. And if you hear about any criminal activity that happens in the family islands, trust me, there are people who come from here who go on over there looking for problems.
Interesting.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah, so this area is known as the Grove area.
And now, if you ever come to Los Angeles and we give you a tour,
Oh yes.
we'll drive you down the street and say, okay, this is where our criminals live.
Okay. Los Angeles seems to be a very nice place, though.
We don't get into Los Angeles proper very much. Camarillo's about 50 miles north.
Yes, it's more like a small community then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
67,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Looks peaceful.
very small.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, lots of fields,
Yeah.
as you saw on the
Very
test
nice.
tour.
It
Very
has one
peaceful.
Oh,
of
yes.
the lowest crime rates in the country.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh,
but
yes.
but one thing our local city governments do is form a general plan to where they stake out areas like this
Oh.
area is going to be residential, this area is going to be industrial,
Okay.
this area is going to be commercial.
So you would have zones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You would have zones.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, I could say that we have the same thing. We have zones on this island. Some are residential,
Yeah.
but then sometimes they have a little mix where they put little convenience stores, moms
Right.
and pops convenience stores and so forth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I can truly say it's a very nice place to live in the Bahamas.